So how many women are diagnosed with cervical cancer in Britain each year? It's 2,800.
Your thoughts, please, on Jade Goody's decision to share every detail of her cervical cancer battle with us via endless newspaper interviews. For the best part of the last month, the papers have been full of it, as they were again at the weekend, from the red top news of the world to the might of the Sunday Times. Actually, truth be told, it's been that way ever since Jade announced her situation in the Big Brother house in India last summer. I've found the flood of interviews makes uncomfortable reading. I take no pleasure in seeing photos of Jade, a woman of, 27, someone I know socially, weeping as she pours out her worries and deepest fears to journalists, hungry for the latest update, has to be said, checkbooks open in anticipation. Don't think I've got a problem. In fact, I have no problem with Jade selling her story to the highest bidder, or indeed to all bidders. She's lived her life through the media, become a millionairess as a result, and says she wants to earn enough to provide her kids, Bobby Jack, who's 5, and Freddie, 4, with a safe future. Although she also says she wants to protect them from the truth about her illness. How on earth she can manage that, though, when every cough and spit is in print, I don't know. Now, I said I felt uncomfortable, but the truth is, I think that's my problem, not Jade's. Lost my dad, some friends to the disease, dated someone who's beaten breast cancer, another friend, young woman fighting for their life right now. And Jade's interviews aren't helping me one jot, but they are helping others. It's been claimed the number of women seeking smear tests has gone up 20% since Jade's diagnosis. And while the details of her story don't make for pleasant reading, it does make us think, all of us think about things, not least our own mortality and vulnerability. And that's no bad thing, is it, Nari?
I tend to turn the page. I don't want to read it. And I think it's brilliant if it has increased the number of women going for cervical cancer. I think if I was working for a cancer charity, I would not be that happy, because a lot of cancers now are not curable, but they're treatable. And the thing about this story is it's looking grimmer and grimmer and grimmer. And it's scaring the pants off me. And cancer, all of a sudden, again, seems to me to be like a death sentence.
True. That is very true.
And I had thought, I believed all this stuff about but hang on, can't they treat it now? And I'm beginning to think maybe they, you know. So I think it's making cancer seem much more scary again to a lot of people.
Good point.
I absolutely understand that her situation, and she's got to earn that money, because when she goes, she needs to support those children when she's gone. And so I totally understand
Lots of people do die from cancer and don't leave much for their children.
Yes, I think she comes from a certain background. I've worked with her once, and she was a very, you know, kind of charming woman in a way. And we did something in Northern Ireland, and when we came down to the hotel to go and do this show, she'd put on a little sundress, and we're in Northern Ireland, it's pouring with rain. I said, Jane, what on earth are you wearing? She said, no, I thought it was going to be abroad. I said, no, it's not. Well, it kind of is, but it's not Spain. It's not so. So I like her very much.
And can I just ask about the newspapers, are they wrongfully exploiting this situation?
I don't think they're wrongfully, but they are definitely exploiting her. And I think the interesting thing about this story, of course, is it's, in a way, a media dream, because it's not like she's going to be, like, going to have cancer and then go into remission and then have cancer again. It's going to be a short story. It's got a beginning, a middle and an end. And that's me talking in a very hard-hearted journalist. I think if you read through the lines of what the doctors are saying, they're now saying, aren't they, that they're trying to keep her alive as long as possible, but they don't think they can actually stop the cancer. And that's the reality. So I think everybody who's involved in this story, in the media, I hope that they're thinking about their conscience, because I'm glad that I'm not being asked to be part of this.
Me too. Me too. In fact, I've been resisting doing this discussion for a week because I felt so uncomfortable, and I know you feel
I mean, I have a feeling in the pit of my stomach right now. It's really awful. It makes me feel really sad, genuinely sad. I have read about it. I've kind of forced myself to read about it, and I have to be absolutely honest with you, I am interested in it, in the way that I'm interested in a lot of what Jade gets up to, because she is a phenomenon in one sense of the phrase. But I think you put your finger on it. It's the scary factor. But I would possibly disagree. I think scaring people about this disease is really important, because this is a killer. It's prowling all of our lives, you know, constantly. We all know someone touched by this terrible disease, and if someone, you know, with that profile can scare us and keep us scared. And I believe, and I think at the end of the day it's down to a personal opinion on this, but I believe it's a good thing because it'll keep people donating. Because I know that from a scientific point of view, we're actually very close to really whipping this disease, but it's a money issue. It's all about money and getting it out there. If there's one thing that this poor girl can do, as well as providing for her children, is to provide money in the coffers of cancer charities, and that's a great thing.
OK, Stephen.
I think, Jay, you touched on something quite interesting there. I think all of us do know someone who has been affected by...
One in 3 people will get cancer. So when you're looking down the panel now, at least one of us will have cancer at some point in our lives.
Well,
so you know.
Well, I have close family members who've gone through it. I personally don't read that. It's not something I'm interested in. But I think that because she's so young and because, like you said, she's quite a well-known person, I think her talking about it is very, very brave indeed. And it will affect other people. If it means people going and getting tests, if it means people being more aware of stuff, that's a good thing. Personally, if I couldn't talk about it myself like this. I don't think I'd be that brave. So I take my hat off to her in that respect.
What I'm finding interesting is everybody here sort of got positive stuff to say. And yeah, I think it is fair to say that over the last week in particular, I've heard an awful lot of people say some quite unpleasant stuff. Not media people, just, regular people. Let's throw it open to you then. What do we make of what Jade's doing? Is she doing anything wrong by cashing in on her situation? Amy.
OK, our calls seem to be quite positive towards it as well at the moment. Chrissy first on line 3.
Morning, Chrissy.
Good morning,
Morning.
Matthew.
So what do you make of the score here with Jade?
My heart goes out to her, absolutely. I am in remission from lung cancer.
Good, good.
And I wish I had the opportunity to be able to support my children when I'm gone. Nobody knows whether it's going to come back. Cancer is a very personal thing. And I think she's doing brilliantly. I really do. And I do hope this new drug that they're putting her on is going to have some effect.
Oh, yeah.
I know from all the papers it doesn't sound very likely. But I just think, she's doing a great job.
And do you think
my heart goes out to her.
Do you think the newspapers are doing a great job by her, that they're looking after her, that they're getting the story right? Do you think they're dealing with it correctly?
Yes, I do. I think if she can, build a financial future for her children, fair play to her.
Yeah, I'll be honest, the money thing kind of niggles, and it niggles me on a very personal basis. When my dad died, he didn't really leave he didn't leave anything. And that's the way it goes. His last few months were spent desperately struggling around to get enough money so that Mum wouldn't be kicked out of the house. So,
I understand that because I'm in the same situation.
Yeah. But that's what most people are in, and so this idea that we're doing it for the kids...
No, nothing is more important than your children.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who is in that situation where they can sort of build a financial future should do. Obviously, there's an awful lot of us that aren't in that situation. But I do feel that her boys will be well looked after.
Yeah, for sure. Although there's another discussion to be had about at what point you deal with children. 5 and 4 is quite young to be talking about the big C. I'm not a parent, I don't know, but it's something to think about. Thank you, Chrissy. Let's have another.
Next caller is Tony on line 1.
Tony, good morning.
Good morning.
Is she doing the right thing, sir?
Well, me personally, I'm going through chemotherapy at the moment. And I am in what they call remission from lung cancer.
Good.
And this is just to mop up some stray cells after they managed to operate and take all my cancer away, but they're never quite 100% sure. So you live in this fog of uncertainty all the time. But as regards Jade, I think she's very brave myself, and I do think a very important point to make is that that if she hadn't have told the story to the papers, the paparazzi and the lower class, shall we call them, tabloids, would be chasing around, and they would be publishing inappropriate photographs.
Tony, I would suggest maybe not, because I know in the case of Karen Keating, for example, everybody in Fleet Street knew the battle she was going through with her breast cancer, and there was an understanding that had come via Karen, via her agent, to the newspapers.
Do you really think Jade would get that sort of understanding?
Well,
she's lived in that. I don't think she would. Carol Keating spent her life in Australia, didn't she, the last year?
Yeah, the last few years. The thing is, Tony, you don't know. The fact is, I can give you the example of Karen Keating because it did happen, and the newspapers did respect her privacy. because of rules and restrictions on newspapers, going in to discuss someone's health situation without their permission could be very awkward. So I'd like to think that had she not been complicit in discussing her health with them, then they would leave her alone. But you're quite right, Tony. There's undoubtedly some elements around there that would chase her about. Good. We'll leave that one there, and we'll hope things work out for the best.